because the city council would not do it because they said if we celebrate Dr. King's birthday, then all kind of domestic terrorism groups would get involved and would create a big thing. But after a year of basically educating them, nothing has happened in the 23 years that we have celebrated Dr.
Right.
King. We have given scholarships out to a lot of young people who have went on and got their master's degree and different degrees, and we have tried to be a role model to the folks and also remind the young people in the community that one person took a big leap of faith and with the help of others stopped segregation in this country.
You know, one of the things you have listed as your titles are community activists. Does that mean you cause a lot of trouble and stir up a lot of things going on over there in Baldwin County?
I think you just said some people feel that way,
I'm sure.
but I always think of one of Dr. King's quote, which I kind of changed a little bit. It's called the ultimate measure of a man and a woman. I add woman to it, and Dr. King talked about that. Where do you stand in convenience and comfort?
That's right.
And a lot of people at home got nice homes in Baldwin County. A lot of people got millionaires, and I live in a community of Point
Right.
Clear. It's a very nice, quiet community. People come over there and visit me. But where do controversy come up? Just like zoning. We have been involved with redistricting. We have been involved with voting rights where they had closed voting places in some of our low and moderate income community. What about housing? Everybody over there cannot afford a $500,000, $1 million home. There's a lot of issues over there, and a lot of people are comfort and convenience and sit in their house. And what I do, I'm kind of like Dr. King, I'm a drum major. I get out there and try to wake people up to think about that because I think about where would I be? I look at the less fortunate.
Now, don't you think it is, I always think that you have to have one person at least that's willing to stir in the nest,
Yeah.
you know, to get things brought to the forefront. One of the things that you've just helped get passed or got looked at is some zoning issues. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yes. I live in Planning District 17, and with Mr. A.J. Cooper, who was one of the first black elected officials in the country. He lives over there in Baldwin County, and also other people, we was able to stop zoning in our community because it would have devastated the black community and would have devastated the poor community. Then now they have went around the county, and now they have came up what the rules says that you have to get 10% of the registered voter in a district. Right now, this small little group of folks cannot get the 10%. They get like 200 folks. I think they're supposed to get 670 some people, and they come to the county commission and say, oh, we cannot do this. So y'all got a little provision in the law that says you could bypass, so let's bypass it. So you got people who have worked there for all their lives for their homes over there, and they have to be concerned with government relations. And it's a mess because if you telling me that this is good for me, the way you treat me now kind of make me leery. And that's what the issue is involved with, that the people do not want it. Zoning is good if it's done right, but the way they going about it, I'm scared of it. I'm against it because just in my immediate neighborhood, if we would have had zoning, 2 or 3 people when they been able to rebuild a home. It was just cut down our population over there. In this planning zone in District 14, where they're looking at for an election, these people have worked all their life, and we already dealing with high home insurance costs. We're dealing with other billing code costs. I think when I was at the meeting, they talking about trying to change the base when you build a house. Where you get red clay for $50, they want you to get some white sand for $180. So it's a lot of issues that affect your pocketbook. And these people over here, I love them, been knowing them all my life, they are against it. But the county commission pushed this through because of a small group of folks that believe in, well, I need to control you, I need to control my neighbor. Well, I grew up, my neighbors are my relatives, my cousin, people I love. I don't need to have some government body telling me what to do with my property.
Well, let me ask you this. One of the things that that you are adamant about, and I guess it's part of your passion, is that when that's why it's so important to know what is being voted on and what's going on in your area. Tell me, in relation to this particular situation, how important is it for people to know? I know people, they'll go vote for the mayor, but they won't vote for the district attorney, or they won't vote for the council person. They'll say, well, I know him, or he's been there 30 years, let me go vote for him. How important is it to be involved and know what's going on in your community?
It's very important, because right now you had an argument back and forth between the role of government. I don't believe government need to get into it. That's a perfect example. Yeah, government can help. I'm not anti-government. Government can help.
Please don't be anti-government.
And government has helped people,
Sure.
because I went to college and I went through with the Pell Grant. But we also talking about bad government, where people sit up here, you elect folks, and they supposed to be public servant. And when you got a large community come to a meeting and say, we oppose to that. Now, if they get the required number of voters and go by according to the law, we find we're defeated at the ballot box. But you go before the county commission, and the county commission sit there, and these folks clearly do not have community support. They pass it anyway. They say, well, we don't care what you say. I got a bunch of folks who basically want it, but they don't live in that district. They don't have community support, and they're trying to shove it down people. I'm against that. I've always been about, I grew up, my family is very big over there. I believe that everybody has their ways and they picks and chooses, but like you said, they have to get involved. And the district attorney, the mayor, the city council, the county commissioner, the state legislature, the governor, these folks have important decisions in your life.
Don't you? Well, let me ask you this question, because and I have to say, I love Baldwin County. I love my city officials over there. Let me say that, because I need to come back and see me. But one of the things I want to ask you is that it can't always be a struggle, because a lot of times, we've got people like you who are able to unify a community, but that's just a small portion. What about those who don't do their part, who don't contact their mayor or their city official? What about those who, we've got you doing this part over here, and you're rocking the boat, but there are others, the majority, who are just sitting still not doing anything. And you're making it difficult for the city officials, and I want to say, you said they're making it difficult for you. So where do you draw the line where you can come together and say, this is this is our common good, and this is what we need to do? How do you get to that point where you're working together, or does that or has that happened?
Yeah, it does happen. It's not all bad, but it's balanced. You do not need to have stuff way over here, because you got people who get paid and they want certain things. So they got time to take off from a job and go in lobby and talk to the official. But what about somebody who's working 9, 10 hours a day, and really the only time they get to know of anything is when something personal happens to them? I think most elected officials say, well, they try to get people involved in the decision-making process, but the only time they hear from folks is when something happens to them personally, like something go up in their neighborhood, they need sidewalks, there's not enough jobs in the community. Well, I got my grandson or my son and daughter can't find a job. What are you going to do? So it's basically trying to bring it in balance, and the unbalance of it is that you have small groups that don't look at the community. I always look at it that, how can you come in my community? I know my community where I live at, I'm related to everybody. Half the city, I'm related to them. I'm not related to half of them. The other ones are friends that I grew up as a child.
Shouldn't that community go to whoever is the council member over them or over that area and talk to them? What happens in that relationship, or is there a breakdown in that relationship depending on what area it's in?
It is a breakdown. Some elected officials are better. They have community meetings. They have newsletter. But with today's technology, they should do a better job. But you have some that do not listen to the community. It's last year, 2 or 3 issues where it was a breakdown, where folks in the community was telling me this, but the elected official wasn't hearing. And I think that, when election time comes, I think when the people get reminded, they look at it. But yes, there needs to be a closeness. And when I was young growing up, there was a closeness. And now we need to get back to that, and not really selfishness. I think a lot of it needs to be renounced. I think people have to look at, as you say, the common good.
Okay. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Let me ask you about this other topic. You said something about the census and redistricting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Okay, the census is very important. I think the last 30 or 40 years, even back to Dr. King, certain minority groups have been undercounted. In March, there are going to be census takers out there. There are going to be questionnaires sent to your home, and you need to fill it out. This is not going to harm you, but it's very important for our community, because after the census is counted and the federal government publish it, then we get off into redistricting.
Right.
And for the last 30 or 40 years, we have lawsuits because after the people account, we decide on council districts, we decide on legislative district, we decide on congressional district, and also we decide on how money is divvied up in the community. And it has always been in the past where we get these questionnaires, we tear them up. And that's when the workers come knocking on your door. Well, I don't want the workers to come knocking on your door. Yeah. Well, it's very important. We need this year, most important, all the things we talked about, all of this wrapped up into we need a proper count of the people in our community. That's in the United States Constitution. Every 10 years that people needs to be counted, and monies and political representation is based upon that.
Right. How important it is, we're talking about the census, and I know that's very important. I'm glad you said that, because you're going to either get it in the mail and not open it, you're going to throw it away, it's going to lay there and whatever. But as we wrap up this segment, we've got about, I guess, 30 seconds left. What is the key thing you want to let our viewers know about being involved in government and their civic affairs?
I think we are faced with an opportunity now. This is 2010, but we have to get involved. We have to get out of our comfort and convenience, and we have to love one another and care for one another and get God in our life and go out there and really push for the issues that really care for us. We do not need to get off into stereotypes. We need to get off into loving one another.
You know, I think that's great, because as we wrap up this segment, thank you so much for being here. I think one of the best things that you can know about our election and the way the government works is just to get involved. I think being educated and informed will take you so far you can even imagine how far it can take you. You've got to know what's going on. If you're going to have a complaint, what do I always tell you? Know what you're talking about. And I think that's so important. Get involved, know who you're electing, know what's going on. I know you enjoyed the program. Please write Paul and Jane and let them know. Our website can tell you about our stations around the world, www.tvn.org. And of course, pen and paper is a dying art form, and I think you should do it all the time. TVN, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711. We'll see you next time on Join Our Town. Bye-bye.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and made possible by your telethon dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town brought to your home every day. So write Joy in Our Town, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711. Or contact us on the web at www.tbn.org.